Hey, it's Nooch, and welcome to our second episode of Jedi BRICK-ademy. In Jedi BRICK-ademy, we are looking to dig deeper into some gameplay, ideas, theories, see what's going on in the mind of our enemies and opponents, and really dive deeply into understanding the game. Last time we looked at energy usage. We had energy counters in the top and bottom corners. We're going to continue that today. Nooch thinks that's a pretty good idea for really understanding where we fall in the game, is seeing how energy is managed. Because while you're playing, it's really hard to step back and see, how am I managing my energy? Am I doing a good job? Should I be dropping this unit now or should I be saving up? It's really hard to do while you're playing in a 2.5 minute game when it's fast and furious. But if you can step back and really look and count up the energy and see what's going on, we can learn from that. Secondly, today what we're doing is we're talking to our good friend Spcius. So Spcius and I played a battle, and we're going to air it out here in a second. And then Spcius took it and voiced over how the game was going from his perspective. So we're going to listen to Spcius's perspective, and then Nooch will talk about his perspective, all while we're keeping energy counts in the corners. So hopefully this will give you a little more insight into how the game works, different strategies, different ways of winning, and challenges that come with playing the game. So let's jump into this video here. I've got it ready to play down below me. So as you can see, we're going in. Nooch is going to be the dark side, and Spcius is the light side.
So I tend to wait a fair while to see what the other player's going to do. Even if I'm burning a bit of energy, it doesn't matter because they are too.
Okay, so right off the bat, Spcius says he likes to wait a fair while to see what the other player is going to do before he responds, even if they're burning energy. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, Nooch can't do that. I've tried to sit there, but I've gotten into staring matches where nobody's going, and then all of a sudden you go, and then they unleash, a world of hurt on you. When my energy is full, I'm playing cards. If you feel like I'm not playing cards, I'm wasting energy. Yeah, maybe I put myself at a disadvantage. Sometimes it's better to wait back, respond, and then counter press back. But to me, having units on the field puts pressure on my opponent and makes them make decisions. So I'm not going to be eating energy wherever possible. I'm going to be using all that energy. So we're looking at that differently already. And I think you'll see here in a minute, we can see that Nooch has 4 on the field. Nooch has a flame trooper, and Spcius is going to reply back with Luke. So we've spent about the same, but in a little bit you're going to see the energy difference. And you're going to see, after I launch my Flame Trooper for 4, it takes him a couple ticks before he gets Luke out there. So in the meantime, he's 2 or 3 energy behind already because he waited for Nooch to play. So that's why I really don't like that strategy. And if I get in the middle of a game and I get energy full up, I'm laying something down. So let's keep going here.
Alright, so here comes a tanky unit. Going to drop a tanky unit to counter and see what develops.
Okay, so tanks on the field, Luke versus Flame Trooper.
Alright, so Nooch is going to go defensive at the moment with the 2 back towers. So I'll drop 1.
Okay, so Nooch is going defensive with the 2 back towers. This is a pretty common strategy. I've used it a bunch, continue to use it. Just really depends on how you feel for the certain game. To me, probably it felt like this game was developing pretty slowly. And if it's going to develop slowly, I'm going to put up some towers in the back, and then you got to come get me. The march across the field, in other games where there's no towers involved, and you're not building towers and knocking them down as part of the strategy for winning. They're more like units, and they don't count or anything. That's fine, but really, every time I put a tower up, I extend my level of play. I put these 2 towers up, and he happens to put up a tower in the middle. I can drop my units right on top of that tower in the middle. If I've only got 1 tower up or none, I can't do that. If I get the middle tower, I can drop units on his side of the field. If I get the tower on his end, then all's fair in love and war. So, since the game's going slower, we can see that Nooch has spent 10, and Spcius has spent 9. Nooch has 2 towers up, and the Flame Trooper facing off with Luke in the middle of the field, and Spcius has 1 tower up. Also, keep in mind that if we count that 2 or 3 energy that Spcius let drain at the beginning of the battle, he's more at like 11 or 12 right now, and Nooch is at 10. So let's keep going.
See if I can deal with this Flame Trooper just with Luke, and then I'll try and get a middle tower. Alright, droid car, that's going to throw a spanner in the works, so I dropped Porgs. Ended up being a bad choice because he's got Flamer out.
Okay, a couple things there. So he wanted to get a middle tower. He thought he could take the Flame Trooper out with Luke, which he probably could have, and then grab a middle tower, maybe while Luke is still standing, and then they can team up on the Flame Trooper and hold his ground a little bit. Unfortunately, the Droideka came in and knocked Luke backwards. So this kind of shows how your strategies change moment to moment in this game. So within a couple seconds of saying he's going to let Luke beat the Flame Trooper because he thinks I've spent all this energy. I got 2 towers up and I got the Flame Trooper. I've spent all this energy. But again, because he let those stuff drain at the beginning, I'm actually ahead of him at this point, even though I spent 1 more energy than him. So I push his Luke back with the Droideka. He drops Porgs in, which he even says here in a minute it was a bad decision because with the Flame Trooper still there. But I think it's hard. Once you get on that strategy of you think that Luke's going to take out the Flame Trooper, it's hard to circle back and rethink to say he didn't. So now what can I do? Don't want to drop your Porgs there in front of a Flame Trooper, especially when there's a Droideka or something tanking in front of the Flame Trooper. And then since Nooch is ahead at this point and he's countered all the units, Nooch ends up putting up a tower in the middle.
Now he's IG-88. All right, I'll let the base deal with the Flamer and the Destroyer, and I'll use a single shot for the IG-88.
Okay, so here we see, here's what happened, and this is really, again, just like in our last game where we saw that Nooch lost the game early, Spcius has lost this game early. Not only to let the energy drain at the beginning, that's not the biggest problem. He countered the Flame Trooper and Droideka with those Porgs, and they were wiped out immediately, so he spent 3 energy, and all my units were still on the field. Then I put IG-88 down, he used the bomber, that's a fair trade, straight up, no problem there. But he said, as he was talking, that he was going to let the tower deal with the Flame Trooper and the Droideka, or the Destroyer Droid, as I think it's called in the game. But he let the tower take out the Destroyer Droid and rolled boomaballs on the Flame Trooper. And I think that was a pretty big mistake, spending those 3 energy, even though Nooch has still spent 2 more energy than Spcius at this point. If you count the beginning, we're probably about even in energy, but Nooch has 3 towers up, and so to go back, if he had not dropped those boom, if he had just let his tower deal with the Flame Trooper, he'd have a little bit less health on the tower, but he'd have 3 more. He would be at 21-16 right now. He'd have a lot more options with what he would play next. But since those boom balls just went out and took out the flamethrower, now he's got a lot less options. And also, not to mention, for the light side, boom balls are really most effective on offense. You want to use them on defense as little as possible, because even when you use them on offense, they become defense. If you launch them down an aisle toward a tower and they take out a bunch of battle droids and stun everything else on the way down and do damage to the tower, or if you got Porgs marching toward a tower and about halfway there or 6/10 of the way there, you launch the boomaballs and they stun that tower, and they might even stun a Flame Trooper or a Guavian on the way, and then your Porgs can take it all out because they're all stunned. That's how you want to use boomaballs. That's not the best way to use boomaballs to defend the tower that was probably going to defend itself all right anyway. Let's keep going.
All right, so he's got 3 towers out. He's just using a fair bit of energy. I'll drop a Flamer, see what develops. Now I've got my 2 towers setting up defensively because obviously Nooch is in the offensive position.
Okay, no real issues here. Since he's behind in energy, sitting back a little bit, seeing what develops. We're just kind of facing off here at the left side. We got the Super Battle Droid versus the Flame Trooper, and the BB-8 and BB-9 are coming in the game. It's kind of just a trade-off here. There's not a lot happening at this point. We're both kind of sitting back, waiting to see what the other guy does. And now we got 5 towers in the field. You don't see that every day. This is a game where everybody's playing defense and trying to get towers up. So we got 5 towers, all 5 spots occupied, 3 by Nooch and 2 by Spcius. Our energy is about even right now, but if you remember back to the beginning, he leaked 2 or 3 energy and didn't use them. I think there may have been another time when he did too, but doing the math on that is just going to get too complicated. Maybe at some point we'll take some time and analyze that very carefully. But so Nooch is clearly ahead at this point because he's got 3 towers up. We're going to call the energy even with the leaking. And the left side, those units facing off, is pretty much a draw, although you're going to see that his units are going to end up winning and doing some damage to Nooch's towers.
All right, so the flame turret was occupied, so I dropped Porgs on it to get it from the back while it was pointing away.
That was a nice move. That was a really nice move. So he's behind, so he needs to make up some ground quickly. So the best way to do that first is take out that middle tower. It's a flame tower, so you wouldn't think porgs against it. But since he had his flame trooper on this side, he dropped his porgs on the other side as the flame trooper finished up. And before the flame tower could get around to take care of the porgs had wiped it out. Now, it was down in health already. Don't do that against full health tower, because a flame tower wipes out porgs. But because he got it on there early enough from the opposite side, while you get the way the turret's facing actually matters. That matters in this game because the turrets take time to move their turrets and face the other way. So that was a really nice move. He just a quick 3, dropped the flock of porgs, take out a tower. Nice exchange, and kind of brings us back to even. He's a little bit higher in the energy, and he's got that. We'll go back to. I'm going to stop talking about the leakage now. I don't know if anybody wants to hear about leakage. Sorry. So, anyway, we're about even now. We both got 2 towers. He's coming on me with porgs. I got a flame tower. I'm not too worried about it. But my towers are a little bit. The flame tower is a little worse than the plasma tower. Never going to get that. And let's see what keeps happening.
So I'll drop Luke again so that he can take the damage from Vader while Flame Turret deals with him.
Now here's something you always want to watch out for. So he's got Vader and a Flame Trooper advancing. That's a challenging combo. If you have like the little durian guy that flies, that's a really good time to use him because they can't counter that. But he drops Luke in to take the damage, which is not a horrible idea. He's a tank, but the Flame Trooper is going to damage him and the tower. And Vader's special can also do that. But you have to remember around those towers especially that if you're on the light side, that seismic blast is available. You need to watch the cycle of that. If it comes in every 5 or 6 cards, it's available again. And if they got seismic blast and you drop a unit around the tower, they're going to be able to use that on that unit, and then you're in a real disadvantage because you just spent 5 on Luke. And Nooch is going to seismic blast him with 3, take him out with the units that are already on the field. So we can kind of see Nooch this whole time has been ahead, even here when he took out that tower. Because if I'm advancing with Vader and a Flame Trooper, and I can drop a Seismic Trooper and all he can play is Luke, then he's pretty far behind on energy, and that's pretty painful.
Yeah, the game's not going the way I want it to. Drop some boom balls there in desperation. Again, drop some porgs behind these guys to try and slow them down a bit. So I'm now 1 tower against 3. Here comes an IG-88 to put more pressure on.
Okay, there we are again. The boomer balls were used, like Spcius just said, in desperation. So it's that feeling. We're looking back on it. We can talk about it. But when you're in the game and you're losing and you got to stop these guys who are killing your tower, sometimes you just end up throwing stuff at them. Probably would have been better served in this case to let those guys keep coming because they're both damaged, right? Although the boomer balls did a lot of the damage, but they're both damaged. If you let them engage the tower, you can drop boomer balls on them then and hit them with porgs from behind. So if they get to the X-Wing, you boomer ball them and then drop the porgs on them at the same time, you're probably going to take both of them out and still have your porgs going down the field. But boomer balling at the forward tower and then dropping the porgs after that's all over and they're no longer stunned, you saw what happened. The porgs just died and they were useless. So combine that boomer ball with porgs or Ewoks. Use them together. Don't use them independently. But again, when you're playing a game and you're behind and you're trying to catch up, you get desperate. Sometimes you do things like that. Nooch does it all. Does it plenty himself. So sorry, Spcius. But you know what's happening. You know what's going to happen.
So I've got to deal with that again. BB units. All right, I'll deal with his BB unit with my own. All right, get my second tower up. I've got an eye on the clock now. I think time's starting to run down.
Another perfect example. Nooch has the Super Battle Droid walking in on his plasma tower. Proton tower? I'm telling you, whenever I get the name of that tower, we're doing a video on it. Maybe you should do a video on it just so I get the name down. So the Super Battle Droid's walking in, and I don't know if you noticed there, so Nooch was dropping his seismic charge to freeze that tower because it will shred that Super Battle Droid in a few seconds. So if you stun it, then the Battle Droid can do some work because Battle Droids do a lot of damage to towers. He dropped porgs in at the exact same moment this seismic charge hit. That is something to really keep an eye on. For one thing, he probably didn't need it because that tower will take out that battle droid. Yeah, it's going to take some damage, and he's behind, so again, he's desperate. And when there's no more buildings, only 24 seconds left, he's got to take out my middle tower to have a chance here, or a tower. So he was desperate. He played the porgs. If he had waited another 3 seconds, my seismic charge would have been done. He could have dropped the porgs in and taken care of the battle droid very easily. Maybe brought something on the other side of my middle flame tower, and then either the porgs or the thing on the other side would have a chance to take that tower out. But since he laid the porgs down right as my seismic charge was coming in, again, there's another decision point in the game. That's really going to end the game because that's 3 energy he spent that just went straight down the tubes. So keep that in mind when you got people advancing under towers and they're on the Empire side. They're going to probably use that seismic charge to freeze stuff. Or if they're on the light Empire dark side, or if they're on the light side, they're probably going to use boomer balls. So maybe sometimes if you know they haven't played those recently, if you know it's been a while since they played the seismic charge or the boomer balls, wait for them to play it and then respond so you don't get taken out by those.
Boomer balls just to stun the droid so I don't get too much damage done. I dropped the porgs in case it didn't kill him, but obviously it did.
Yeah, I hate to keep harping on it. It's not a great use of boomer balls. I mean, he was kind of up against it at that point. He's doing everything to try to keep that tower alive, so he launched him. You really want to combine boomer balls with something else to do maximum damage.
So now pressure's really on. I'm just going to be dropping things in desperation, trying to deal with that tower, at least one of his towers, so that I can get the game back a bit on level terms. Game over. Nooch too good. GG. All done.
Nooch too good. That's something you hear a lot. Nooch too good. That's gonna be a video title. Maybe that should be the BRICK-ademy. Nooch too good. That was awesome, Spcius. So you see, when you're behind, you get to the end. Now, there was one interesting thing. If you look back toward the beginning, there was a point when Nooch was outspending Spcius like 21-12. Even if you count the leakage in there. Nooch was just so far ahead with the advantage and with the counters that he put down. You know, with those early counters that were laid down, I was really taking care of those and wiping them out. The porgs were laid down at least a couple times in that game and wiped out very quickly. And that's really tough. When your units are laid down and do no work, then you've just wasted energy. And again, this is not a hammering on Spcius. He's a quality person, quality player. Clearly, we were at nearly the same trophy level. Sometimes you got it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get panicky. Sometimes you make a wrong decision. Keep pressing forward, guys. But hopefully, you can use this video, maybe rewatch it again and see where those decision points come in, especially at the beginning when the energy was not being used by Spcius, and then the counters, the porgs coming in and dying, the seismic charge coming in and stunning, and the boomer balls really being used on defense and for single shot purposes rather than supporting your porgs on offense. That's the way to do it. So that's all we got for today. Really wanted to take this time, appreciate Spcius taking the time to put this together and send it over to Nooch. And maybe in the future we can do this. If anybody's interested, maybe reach out to me on Discord. You see my handle right there, Nooch, #2580. And we can spend some time together, maybe go through a few battles, and we can just play our audio back and forth and see what we got. Thanks for coming today, guys. Nooch, so good. No, Nooch, too good. See you next time.